So first things first, we need to remove the existing sway bar links. So it's just an 18mm wrench. You'll notice on the passenger side there's a flag nut. Just have to wrench it out of here and you're all set. So on the top sway bar link connection, you're going to need a 6mm Allen wrench and a 18mm wrench to loosen this nut up. So the reason I chose to go with Krawler versus any of the other brands on the market for this disconnect is this tab right here. That tab, most of the other brands require you to cut that off. And I want to be able to revert this back to factory should I want to sell this at some point in the future, or if there's something else that needs to happen, I want to be able to go back. So to be able to keep this tab in place without cutting it, to me, was a bonus. So for this part of the installation, you're going to need a 19mm nut or socket for the back side. I'm not even sure what size this is, but it's large. It's bigger than a 24mm. So a very large wrench for this. There are no instructions for this, so given that the bolt on the back side has so few threads, I decided to put some blue Loctite on it and just torque it down. This pin here, the guide pin for the quick disconnect, takes a 13mm socket, and you can hold on to it at this end or wrench on it to tighten it into that nut. So with the Krawler, it's listed as being for a 2.5, I think, to 5-inch lift kit. I'm using the Mopar 2-inch lift on a Sport S model, so theoretically I've got roughly 3 inches of lift. I believe the Rubicon, it lifts the Rubicon 2 inches. And then I do have a 1-inch spacer as well. So this is the black link is the one that's provided by Mopar. It's the longer length for the 2-inch lift. And you can see here that the Krawler sway bar link, even at its shortest setting, is roughly 1.5 inches longer than what the Mopar is. Now, take into consideration the 1-inch spacer that I've got. That's only half an inch longer than what it probably should be, so I'm not going to be too concerned, but the sway bar link, or the sway bar itself, is probably going to be a little bit on an up angle, but I don't think it's going to be so much that it's going to actually make a difference. On the driver's side, you don't have a flag nut, so on this side it just takes two 18mm wrenches, and you can take both the nut and the bolt out. Top is the same as the passenger side. You've got your 6mm Allen wrench and an 18mm box end wrench, and it'll come right out. Once that's loose, it should just come right off. There you go, disassembled. So there's these little grease zerts to put in. They just take a 1/4-inch drive socket and they screw in pretty well. And just make sure they're tightened down, but not tightened down so much that they crack. So there you can see, this is what it looks like finished. I do have a slight incline on the sway bar, but it's only about 1/2 inch as it goes back towards the sway bar length, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. So if you're wondering where the straps go, there's already a hole in the frame here. Put it through here, bolted on the back side, two 13mm. I'll probably leave the strap in my recovery bucket or somewhere else until it's time to put the disconnect the sway bars, just so it's not flapping around, but the other portion of that would attach through this loop, and then that holds the sway bar up into place when you're on the trails.